Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A little update on Romania and the situation of Călin Georgescu, who was barred from running for Romanian presidency. Why? Because the wrong candidate would win, and this is democracy when we lose. When we lose, we try to do everything possible to have the person who might win out. So, I have here about 5 articles about Călin Georgescu. First, what Călin Georgescu does, he's going to appeal the decision of the CCR. Second one, we're going to find out what the European Union does about it, right? The European Union will intervene as it tried to intervene in Hungary's Orban, remember? Then we find out what Mr. Fico, Robert Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, has to say about it, and it's very important. Because Mr. Fico has balls. That's the problem with these guys. So that's another attempt by the Europeans were shush, but not really when Fico was about to win the elections. But then we find out what the Kremlin has to say about it. And then it's a paradox. And that the paradox comes from Corneliu Vadim Tudor. I don't know if you're familiar with Corneliu Vadim Tudor, but I was notified. I just found an article on Facebook from one of my friends, and I thank you very much. I will use his initials, AT, thank you very much, where it's a paradox that Corneliu Vadim Tudor, a recognized racist and xenophobe and all this and blah, 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 he was allowed to run for presidency 5 times, and one time almost won. And the question is how he was allowed to, but this guy is not allowed to. So let's discuss these topics. Let's start with the first one. This comes from Russia Today. Georgescu to appeal Romanian presidential election ban, Reuters. The staunch NATO critic has again been barred from running for the country's top office. So, Romanian presidential hopeful Călin Georgescu has said he will appeal against the decision of the country's Central Electoral Bureau, BEC, to bar him from taking part in a new election in May. The BEC dismissed Georgescu's candidacy on Sunday. They work Sunday. Romanians work Sunday, I gotta tell you that. Citing more than 1,000 challenges filed against him. Georgescu was the clear favorite for the election rerun, polling between 40% and 45% in the most recent surveys. Georgescu condemned the decision, stating that the European Union has turned into a dictatorship, while branding his own country a tyranny on Monday. So, my friends, my older Romanians, you remember when we were living under Ceausescu's dictatorship? You remember. Remember that we were pinpointing, we always knew if something went bad, it was because of Ceausescu. Everything. I don't know, if I didn't have a hard-on, it was because of Ceausescu. If I was hungry, Ceausescu. If this happened, Ceausescu. Everything was Ceausescu. So you could pinpoint who the origin of our displeasures, our discomfort, our pains were. You could say Ceausescu. So if we remove Ceausescu, we're going to be fantastic. Well, they removed Ceausescu through us, and see how fantastic it is. Now, in this case of Antonescu's situation, who is Ceausescu? Where is the origin? I want to know, so we can go over there. Do you think it's the court? Do you think it's the European Union? Do you think it's Washington D.C.? Do you think are the guys with who do you think they are? We cannot pinpoint who the guys are. You can't direct your hatred or your complaints towards anybody. I mean, you can pick, but you know, the court is not making its own decisions, but who's behind the court? And you go, who's behind the court? And further, who are the politicians? The Romanian presidency? We are not allowed to figure out who's behind this. You don't have a clear originator. The same in our lives, United States of America. Certain things that occurred to us, we will not know what the hell happened, but figured it out. Like in Ukraine. Oh, it was Russia and Ukraine. No, it was the banking system. The international banking system, the arms manufacturing companies, and the energy sector. These were the 3. But who are they? Give me some names. Gigi, Michael, and Tom? You don't know. So you can't go and do it. The same here. before, you knew Ceausescu's over there, get rid of the guy, and that's it, it was going to be perfect. But here you can't. You don't know if it's Zuckerberg, you don't know if it's Bezos, you don't know if it's Musk, you don't know if it's Trump, you don't know. And you don't even know where they're at, even if you know their names. So it's very interesting. Think about that. All right, let's see what the European Union says, because Călin Georgescu says that the European Union is a dictatorship while branding his own country a tyranny. I thought we were a democratic country. And remember, when I saw some videos and other people saying democracy dies in Romania, there was no democracy in Romania. It was something looking like, smelling like, similar to, but it was not democracy. Here, let's go to the next article. Russia Today. European Union refuses to comment on Romania banning Georgescu from elections. Brussels does not interfere in member states' electoral process. The European Commission has reportedly said, really? All right, so they say, no, we are fair and just and honest. We do not interfere. I remember when these guys tried to interfere against Orban in Hungary. I remember when they tried to interfere in Germany, in Alternative for Deutschland, in Slovakia with Mr. Fico, all the countries. And in Poland, remember Poland when it was the elections between the right and the left? And eventually the communists, yes sir, of Donald Tusk, the prime minister, won. The same thing, they try to intervene all the time. So that might give me a hint it is the guys from European Union. But why the European Union? Who's behind the European Union? I don't think it's, I know it's not von der Leyen or Michel or Maria Callas or, no, it's nothing like that. It's something else. It's the ideas. So who fights the ideas that Mr. Călin Georgescu is promoting and supporting? The ideas are nationalism and patriotism. Who would be against that? Only a foreigner, only a guy who says, you know what, in order for me to fleece your country or your nation, I have to make sure that you don't love your country, so you don't notice that I'm here a alien. So you can't love your country. We're all together, we are diverse. So who are the promoters of diversity in the world? You're gonna little by little go to the same freaking thing. All right, but hey, we don't intervene in the member states electoral process. Okay, let's go. Next one. This comes from G4 Media Row. This comes from, as I said, AT. Thank you very much. The Kremlin considers that the presidential elections in Romania without Călin Georgescu, the far rightist, they say, extreme right candidate, will not be legitimate. So, Kremlinul consideră că alegerile prezidențiale din România, fără Călin Georgescu, candidatul de extremă dreaptă, prorus, pro-Russian, nu vor avea legitimitate. They will be illegitimate. So the Russian says, whomever is going to be elected, we're not going to recognize that government. The West doesn't care. Why? They don't care. They created Kosovo. What do you want? I mean, do you think they will care about this? So the Kremlin will not recognize the elections. Next one. Let's see what the guys in Slovakia had to say. And this is Mr. Fico. Urges European Union to step in as Romania's election scandal unfolds. Hey, didn't you hear that Brussels does not intervene in member states' electoral processes? Mr. Fico, are you crazy? Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico has called on the European Commission to take a clear position regarding Romania's elections and the situation involving pro-Russian candidate Călin Georgescu. He's pro-Russian. My friends, this is what Călin Georgescu said. I think that Romania as a country should look at it for its best interest. So if the Russians give us cheap gas, I'm giving an example, okay, we should buy gas from Russia. I don't think we should forbid ourselves from doing business with countries that will benefit us as a nation. After all, it's about the Romanians. But no. So that, again, goes to the patriotism and nationalism. Like the imbeciles in Germany, for instance. They said, 9, we will not buy Russian gas. Therefore, we're going to pay 4 times extra liquefied natural gas coming from the United States of America. Now, that's imbecilic. Who thinks like that in that situation? Remember, Russia is not at war with Germany. Right? It's at war with someone else. So if you do this against your national interest, what can you be? The word would be traitor. So again, this is the problem. So this is the pro-Russian approach of Călin Georgescu. I want you to take over a map and look over the map and see where Romania is and see where, for instance, Russia is. And look where United States of America is. So, since I have it right here, you see, this is Europe right here. Romania is next to Russia. United States of America is a long ways. So why would you ally yourself with someone from 5 cities when you have the neighbor, you're at war with the neighbor? Well, because the war is against Russia and they will use the occupied Romania for that. That tells you. So again, the European Commission, and I'm quoting Fico, must take a stance on Romania's presidential elections. Correct. They should say there's no democracy there. We should impose this. We should do this. Or they say, it's democracy. Everything is good. They don't. Why? They will blow up their cover. If it remains silent, as it did in Slovakia from 2020 to 2023, it will drive another nail in the coffin of trust in the entire European Union. 100% correct. And let's look at Vadim Tudor, right here. Libertatea. Again, from AT, thank you very much. Cum a trecut Corneliu Vadim Tudor prin sita CCR. Nationalist and supporter, declared supporter of Mareșal Antonescu, who was allowed to be running for presidency 5 times. This is Corneliu Vadim Tudor. I met him, I shook hands with him, I went to his grave last year. I was a supporter of Mr. Corneliu Vadim Tudor. He had his own things, but nevertheless. And this guy right here was allowed to be a candidate right here in 1996, 2014, and 2000. In 2000, he even got the second run, in the rerun here. Presidential elections in Romania. Do we have it in English? Let's see. Polish, Italiano, Denmark. What the hell are there? No English. Deutsch. We're going to try in Deutsch. All right, so what happened over there? He ran and he got in the second round with Iliescu, and he lost right here with 33%, and Iliescu was 66%. I never believed those elections. I thought that Vadim Tudor should have won that, but they had everything in their hand. Why are they so certain that Călin Georgescu might have a fair election here? I have no idea. That was so. Mr. Corneliu Vadim Tudor was called a racist, was called a xenophobe, was called a supporter of Mareșal Antonescu, and he said many things in a very slum way, in a trailer trash way, something I didn't really like. But nevertheless, he was appealing to a certain strata here and there. He was trying. He was a very informed guy, knowledgeable and smart. He was good. He was very good in debates. Nevertheless, in 2000, I think those elections were rigged, like many others. But they let him go because they knew they have everything in control. So I wonder why do they don't let Călin Georgescu now run? Do they think that they don't have it under control? They don't count the votes? What's going on? The point is, what changes now? Well, I think is, as they say, the domino effect. Remember when we had to go to fight the communists in Vietnam because of the domino effect. There is, if Vietnam falls to the communists, then everything in East Asia will fall. Therefore, democracy, that supposedly is naturally the best way of running a society politically, will not succeed. Therefore, the tyrants will get over. So we have to get the domino effect. That's what it was. So here I said, well, if Vadim Tudor will win, who else? Nobody was around. He was by himself. But now you have, let's start with whatever the polls. Then you had the French, you have Marine Le Pen. Then you have Alternative for Deutschland, Marine Le Pen in France. Then you have Alternative for Deutschland in Germany. Then you have in Slovakia, Fico. Then you have Orban. I'm not talking about being extreme right. People who do not conform to the policy of the guys in charge of us. And now if Germany, Romania will fall, it's too risky. The problem is, as I said many times before, Romania is under occupation. It is militarily. You got foreign troops, tens of thousands of military troops in Romania. You can't have it. Strategically, it's very well located. You have it politically occupied by the jackals. Then you have it economic. What do you produce over there? Stupidity, omnipresent everywhere, right here. And then we have a cultural occupation. These guys infect Romania with all this garbage that they try to infect only the Western world. Again, you wonder why? Because they are present in the Western world. They're not in China. They're not in Pakistan. They're not in Bangladesh. They are in Europe. So therefore they have to make sure they don't have again in Europe. Therefore they have to promote diversity. And you don't have to love your country whatsoever, because if you love it, you realize I am right here a little bit too high up and I'm not working for you. It was the theory, or not theory, but the idea of loyalty. Stab in the back, loyalty. I can't give you too much information. You have to pick and choose what I'm saying and connect the dots. So nevertheless, again, by the way, Vadim Tudor was very, very much against them, but doesn't matter. He was allowed to vote. Why? Because he was the only one in the whole garbage of Europe. So Romania is under occupation. What do we need in Europe? As I said before, and I will continue to say it, in my assessment of the Romanian culture, they function by two principles or two methods. One, you smack them and you tell them what to do. You're in charge like a tyrant, like a dictator, and then they will do that. Or it is by fear. They've been used. Look at their history. They're always like that. So nevertheless, always, but I'm not going to go into that. There needs a cultural evolution. And the other one is you have to really be good at fooling them. Fooling them and get an interest out of them. An interest, we're gonna go and attack that guy, we're gonna steal from that guy, and we're gonna give you something. Oh, okay. So that's the way. Like that. You make them participants. All right? Or you tell them what to do like a dictator. How do you do that? Because I don't think that is going to work with democracy and freedom of speech. Well, I don't like what you say, but I will die for you, the right for you to say it. Nah, Romanians are somewhere in, I don't even know how far back I should put the Romanian culture regarding these kind of things. I don't know, centuries. I don't know how many centuries. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. I think Călin Georgescu will be allowed, but I'm pretty sure that if he's going to be allowed, they will do something that he's not going to win. They're not going to allow Călin Georgescu to win. They will not allow Călin Georgescu to win. And they will take care of him legally, nicely, or he's going to catch a cold and he's going to, Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.